I'm usually more of an optimistic guy when it comes to talking about the Phillies and everything about them right now. But it's hard to be optimistic with this team because right now they just don't show signs of trying to improve, of trying to get better, drastically better, is what I'm getting at. Not just marginally better, not making minor moves for a Jordan Romano for the bullpen. I'm talking about changing your lineup, changing your hitting philosophy, changing basically your personality of the team. It just needs to happen. And I am not seeing any signs from Dave Dombrowski, from Rob Thompson, from John Middleton, or anything like that to where this team is going to drastically make changes for the 2025 season because everything shows that they're just going to run it back once again with the same old group and just get marginally better. That's all I'm seeing. And until I see something different happen, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to believe. Because belief is just dying with this Phillies team currently. Now, it's not saying they're going to be a bad team in 2025. I'm not saying that at all. They're still going to be a good team. They're still going to fight for a playoff spot in the National League. But you're just making it drastically harder for yourself when so many other teams around you are improving and you're not really doing anything to improve yourself. Just what it is. And that's why they're annoying me so badly. So badly. So, before we get into more of this talk with the Phillies, if you're new to the channel, have been viewing for a little bit, haven't hit that subscribe button yet, I definitely recommend that you do that because it would do me such a great deal of service. We just recently surpassed 1,000 subscribers. Now, the next goal is to continue to grow the channel and rise that subscriber count all the way up there, and that would be a very much help if you do hit that subscribe button. I would very much appreciate you for it. You can also drop a like. You can also leave a comment in the comment section down below. I love to interact with everyone here on the videos, on the shorts, and everything like that. It would just do me a great deal of service. You can also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. It is a great deal. Don't pass it up. Maybe you can get yourself some early Phillies tickets to see the exact same roster on the field for 2025 because that's what it's shaping up to be at this rate. My God. So another winter meetings comes and goes. I wanted to talk about the Phillies basically for the past few days, but with everything going on with the Eagles drama, which it does seem like it's starting to find ways of improving himself with the way that they talk today during their press conferences. So maybe we'll have some talks on that in the next few days or something like that. But yeah. Just haven't been able to talk Phillies on the days I wanted to because I wanted to talk about the Monday, but the Eagles took over that news dump. So we're finally here today talking about Phillies. The winter meetings are over, and they really haven't done anything. There's rumors. There's a bunch of rumors that the Phillies, shopping Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm has been in trade talks for basically the past few weeks, the past few months. It feels like it's been basically since they got eliminated from the NLDS, getting embarrassed by the New York Mets, that Alec Bohm has been in trade talks. And then you get Rob Thompson basically damage controlling during the winter meetings that, oh, we're not shopping Alec Bohm. Oh, he's going to be on the Phillies in 2025. Oh, he's not going anywhere. And we do have the audio from Rob Thompson that we could play in just a little bit here just to get the full reaction to that. But I just get no sense from this team that they want to get better at all. Now, I'm sure they do want to get better. I'm sure they do want to make changes. But I just don't see them going out there and getting drastically better because that's just not the vibe I'm getting from Dave Dombrowski when he talks because it's just constantly the same stuff. We like our group. We like the way our team is built. We think we can still compete for a World Series, for a championship and everything like that. It's the same, mentality from Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski. Really not much from John Middleton's perspective, even though I feel like he shares a completely different mindset because if you remember that Scott Lauber article during the trade deadline on the Inquirer about, how the Phillies, he wasn't liking the way they were in the second half and the way that they were playing and the way that they approached the trade deadline because, you need to get drastically get better. You need to take risks on certain things. And it clearly just feels like there is a 100% different mindset from John Middleton compared to Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson. Those three individuals see things on different scales. John Middleton wanting his fucking trophy back, as he always says, and Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski thinking that this roster is good enough as is to compete for a championship. And I just don't think that's the case. And like I said, I don't think that they're going to be a bad team. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But we've seen this team for the past 3 seasons at this point, going back to 2022, fail and fail and fail. 2022, whatever you want to say, fluke or a miracle run or all that stuff. They had a 2-1 lead in the World Series, and yes, they lost to a better team in the Houston Astros, but that was still an opportunity wasted. 2023 was probably one of your best shots to get back to the World Series and possibly win a World Series, and then you choked games 6 and 7 to a woefully Arizona Diamondbacks team that you were 20 billion times better than, and you just completely fell apart because your offense failed again. And then in 2024, you get off to an amazing start in the first half of the regular season, and then you start playing 500 baseball during the second half. You don't do anything drastic to go all in at the trade deadline. You basically just get marginally better by getting Austin Hayes, who barely did anything for you and barely played, and that's not his fault because injuries, sometimes you just can't control those things. But they were trying to sell us that Austin Hayes was the solution in left field when that clearly just wasn't the case whatsoever. And then you go out and get Carlos Estevez, who was a nice pickup, but obviously they are not looking to re-sign him for the 2025 season. And they go to the NLDS and they play the same exact way that they have in previous playoff failures. They played the exact way that they were in the second half. Offense, non existent, and they get embarrassed by the New York Mets. And that same New York Mets team signed Juan Soto to an exuberant amount of money, 15 years, $760 plus million. There is an opt out after 5 years, blah, 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 blah. The Mets went out there and got the best player on the market. And whatever you want to say about no one being worth that much money, it's Juan Soto. The Mets went out there and got better, got one of the best players on the market, and Steve Cohen is still going out there trying to improve his club, trying to spend money to make the Mets better for 2025. And whatever you want to say about whatever's going to happen to Pete Alonso and everything like that, whether he returns to the Mets or whether he goes anywhere else in free agency, you can also talk about the Mets rotation not being as deep as it was this past season. Steve Cohen's still going to go out there and make moves to improve the team, and he is clearly showing signs of that. The Atlanta Braves, they were injury riddled last season. Yeah, they lost Max Fried to the New York Yankees on an 8-year deal. That is definitely a big blow to their rotation because he was a mainstay in their top of the rotation for many, 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 many years. They're going to be healthier next year. They're going to be getting Spencer Strider back. Now, whatever's going to be with Chris Sale following his Cy Young season, is he going to be able to replicate that? I have no idea. They still got a good rotation as is. They're going to be healthier next year. They'll be getting Ronald Acuna back. Last year for them was an outlier just because of how injury riddled it was. They're not going to be as bad as they were last year. So that's going to be even a tougher task for the Phillies to even try to repeat as division champs. And if you don't go out there and try to even improve your roster even a tiny bit, oh yeah, you got Jordan Romano on a prove it deal, basically, a low risk, high reward type of deal. Now, that's not no knock to Jordan Romano. He's coming off of elbow surgery, did not have a good season last year, even though it was very limited. I believe he only pitched in like 13 games or something like that, and then it was cut short to elbow surgery because he was having elbow problems all of last year. Numbers were not good whatsoever, but that's following a lot of good years, a lot of all-star caliber years, and him being one of the best back-end relievers in Major League Baseball. So yes, it's definitely a very low risk, high reward type of deal for the Phillies. It's 1 year, $7+ million. That's nothing in terms of the books. So yeah, I don't mind the move from that aspect because bullpen guys change in and out every single year. You always interchange the bullpen. So, but that just can't be the only move that you make. All the talks about Alec Bohm being traded, Alec Bohm being shopped. Oh, could Alec Bohm be going out there for a trade for Garrett Crochet? Nope, that's not the case because Garrett Crochet got traded to the Boston Red Sox for 4 prospects. I would have loved the Garrett Crochet because that could have put this rotation even more over the top. Now, rotation is probably the least of the Phillies' concerns because they still got Zach Wheeler, they still got Aaron Nola, they still got Christopher Sanchez. Andrew Painter is going to be fighting for a rotation spot, even though he is just coming off a Tommy John surgery, and his innings are 100% going to be limited because that's what happens when players come off Tommy John surgery, and especially since he's so young, they're not going to want to make any drastic risks with Andrew Painter, especially for his future. You also have Ranger Suarez, even though I believe he has come up in trade talks as well. But, he'll be part of the rotation if, if he is on the Phillies roster in 2025. But the main question with Ranger Suarez, is he going to be able to be healthy? Is he going to be able to stay upright? Is he going to be able to pitch deep into a season? Is he going to be able to top 200 innings? Because he hasn't been able to do that all of his career. He's been in this league for a little bit. He's been in this Phillies organization for a little bit of time here. He hasn't been able to pitch that deep into a season without something going wrong with him. Whether it's going into spring training, whether it's, at the start of the season, whether it's not reporting the spring training on time because of visa issues and all that stuff, whether it's getting injured during spring training, or something happening mid-season, like what happened in 2024, where he was one of the best pitchers in baseball in the first half, then dead arm. Wasn't the same. Was a completely different pitcher in the second half. Wasn't able to pitch deep into the season. Is he going to be able to pitch deep into a season? We haven't seen that once. And I'll see it when I believe it, but right now, I can't believe it with Ranger Suarez. I'm not doubting his talent. I'm not knocking that whatsoever because he could be a dog out there on the mound, 100%, when he is healthy. But he has not proven that he can stay healthy for a full year. It's just what it is. And I definitely would have taken a risk on a Garrett Crochet. I think that could have been a possibility for the Phillies, but, apparently they're trying to trade Alec Bohm. The Chicago White Sox don't want Alec Bohm. And now the Phillies are playing damage control, saying that Rob Thompson on MLB Network during the winter meetings that they're not shopping Alec Bohm. They're not doing anything like that. I've talked to Alec Bohm. He's down in Arizona training and all that stuff. And we're prepared for him to be on the Phillies in 2025. That was 100% damage control because they were 100% shopping him. They were trying to. And yeah, it's better to maximize Bohm's value 100%. But yes, there's no trade partners for Alec Bohm. It just doesn't feel like that's the case because do major league teams value him? Because even though Chicago White Sox, there were rumors that Alec Bohm, they were questioning about his second half of the year. And do teams question his attitude problems, his temper tantrums? And here's the big question mark. If Alec Bohm still is on the Phillies in 2025, how is he going to handle all the trade rumors? Is it going to be all hunky-dory? Is it going to be the best perfect attitude possible? Or is it going to be throwing even more tantrums? Is his attitude going to be shitty? I have no idea. But, let's hear from Rob Thompson's mouth. Let's hear what he wants to say about Alec Bohm and how the Phillies are not shopping him.
Well, certainly, you've had a lot of talent on that team, the Kyle Schwarbers, the Trey Turners, the Bryce Harpers. When you look at someone like Alec Bohm, Topper, how would you evaluate his game?
Geez, he's really improved so much. And I know the rumors are flying all over the place. We're not shopping him, but people are approaching us on him, so you got to listen. But this guy has improved so much, not just physically, but mentally over the course of the year, the 3-4 years he's been in the big leagues. Bobby Dickerson, who Buck knows very well, has done an unbelievable job with Alec, getting be better defensively. Throwing accuracy, glove action. He's really a good hitter because he does the things that I was talking about not chasing. He does get good pitches to hit. He uses the entire field. He makes contact. That's why he's so good hitting behind Harper, because he's going to put the ball in play with runners in scoring position. He's not going to strike out. You can pretty much book an RBI if Alec is at the plate with less than 2 outs and runner in scoring position.
Yes, there is tremendous value in what Alec Bohm brings to the table. The way that he is able to knock in RBIs, the way that he is able to hit doubles left and right. There is a lot of value to that. But if you were shopping him, why was it this hard to trade him? I'm just asking that question. Why was it that hard to trade Alec Bohm if you value him like that? The way that he improves, like you say, every single year. Why wouldn't a team take a risk on that? I'm just wondering what the case is. Why do people not value Alec Bohm as highly as the Philadelphia Phillies do? And if the Phillies value him this much, why would they try to trade him in the first place? These are just questions that I'm thinking of, and it just doesn't add up, in my personal opinion, because there was a clear sign of them getting tired of his attitude issues during the NLDS, where Rob Thompson benches him because of attitude issues. So, you were trying to trade him. It was clearly obvious, and this is clearly obvious that this is damage control. Until something happens, Alec Bohm's going to be on the Phillies in 2025, and it's going to be very fucking awkward because they were 100% trying to shop him. Oh, that definitely is fun. And there's a lot of stuff here. I do have an article from Rob Thompson. I believe this was from Todd Zalecki, who covers the Phillies for MLB.com, and, talking about Garrett Crochet and everything like that on, why the Phillies didn't try to go out and acquire him and everything like that. So let's get to this quote here from Dave Dombrowski and say, because the Phillies were really interested in Garrett Crochet. This is going back toward the trade deadline, and the Phillies really wanted to try to go out there and get him. So why didn't they go out there and get him? Well, let's see what Dave Dombrowski wants to say here. So, just basically going over the Garrett Crochet trade. In July, the Phillies pushed hard for left-hander Garrett Crochet, but the White Sox wanted more. Chicago traded Crochet to the White Sox on Wednesday for 4 prospects. According to MLB.com Pipeline, these are where the prospects ranked for the Boston Red Sox, who they traded over. To get Crochet, the Phillies probably needed to offer 2 of their top 400 prospects, Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, or Starlin Cava. And this is the quote from Dave Dombrowski. You weigh those things. You'll always weigh those things. I've been there before, done it before, not sure it was the right time for us to do that right now. I think there's a few reasons behind it. We have 4 quality starting pitchers, and we have a young pitcher coming right behind them, and Andrew Painter, that we like a whole lot. So to give up that type of talent, we've had Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, Christopher Sanchez, Johan Rojas, but we really wrote out the development of our team farm system over the last few years, and we're just getting to the point of having the impact of those guys. It's not quite here, but we're on the verge of having some really good young players. Dave Dombrowski said he's trying to extend the Phillies clubhouse championship window as long as possible. He believes that it will happen by keeping some of those prospects, but that doesn't mean the Phillies won't trade one or more of them at some point. They might for the right player. And then, there's Todd Zalecki goes over what else the Phillies possibly have been linked to, and this goes into a couple of Kyle Tucker things from the Houston Astros. The Phillies have been linked to the Astros outfielder Kyle Tucker, but he'll be a free agent next year. He won't come cheap. According to a source, the Cardinals' third baseman Nolan Arenado would waive his no-trade clause to come to Philadelphia, but he makes no sense unless Alec Bohm is traded. I wish we would have done this. We would have maybe done a little more, Dombrowski said, regarding the winter meetings. We just didn't feel comfortable, but it's not done either. The meetings are done, but the conversations aren't over. You have to be careful. We had a couple of conversations that were going yesterday that were quite heavy. They didn't happen. Then all of a sudden it's, what about this? What about that? I said, hold on, let's take a step back. We don't have to force anything right now. So Kyle Tucker, yeah, that definitely has been talked about. He is very available from the Houston Astros. I believe I mentioned it earlier in this pod that I think the Astros, they want a corner infield. They want MLB-ready corner infielders, and I believe a starting pitcher as well. I also do believe they said Framber Valdez could be available in trades as well, so could the Phillies find a way to swing both Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez out there? I have no idea. But yes, Kyle Tucker definitely won't cost an exuberant amount like Garrett Crochet did, I guess, for 4 prospects, because Kyle Tucker is due to be a free agent after next year, so it definitely would be a risk for a team to give up a lot of things and for Kyle Tucker not to re-sign with that club, and there's always a risk involved with that. The New York Yankees obviously are the main concept. They traded a huge package to get Juan Soto from the San Diego Padres, and he leaves them for the New York Mets, even though they go on a deep World Series run and not end up winning that World Series. I guess you could still say the risk was worth it for Juan Soto because he had one of the best seasons of his career. But sadly, it did not end up with him re-signing in New York. He just signed with the other New York team in Queens, which is going to be very fucking annoying because I'm going to have to deal with that for the next 15 goddamn years. Him and Francisco Lindor. It just never ends, man. It just never ends. You can always say the Mets will Met, and maybe that could still be the case. Who knows? They signed Johan Santana to a big deal in 2008, and that didn't do anything for them. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just sitting here as a frustrated Phillies fan, just wanting the team to make changes, to make moves, to make the team better for 2025. And yes, I do understand that you just completely cannot destroy the prospect system because, yeah, you don't have that many top prospects in Major League Baseball ranked wise. Yes, if you trade away all of your top prospects for one player that might not be here for the long term, yeah, you put yourself at a risk of being as bad as you were from 2012 to 2021, where you really have no prospects in your system. Your development system isn't right because of your terrible front office that it was with Matt Klentak and Eddie McPhail and all that crap. Yeah, that was terrible, and that's how bad the prospect system was, and Dave Dombrowski had to clean up that mess ever since he got here. And yeah, him and Preston Mattingly have been doing a very good job of completely reshaping the prospect system, but they still don't have that many top prospects. I guess they're willing to trade in order to feel comfortable. Yeah, the Boston Red Sox, they're one of the top prospect systems in Major League Baseball, and they can definitely afford to trade a few top prospects and still feel comfortable at the end of the day because they have other prospects in the back end of their pipeline that they can still keep to that are in, top 10 and, the top 10 of their prospect pools and, in the top of 100 in Major League Baseball. So, yeah, the Phillies aren't at that comfortable stage yet, but if you're trying to maximize Bryce Harper's contract, and boy, there's still talks of Scott Boras wanting to get another extension done for Bryce Harper. Is Bryce Harper going to be a Philadelphia Philly until he's fucking 45 years old? I have no idea. I have no idea at all. But you have to make some move. You have to make some improvement. And that's not saying they're going to punt 2025 because they can't make any moves to get better and they're waiting for some contracts to get off the book so they can make moves during the 2025 offseason. No, I don't think that's the case that they want to punt 2025 because they're still going to be competitive for all that stuff. But you're going to be losing a lot of the fan base if you just run back the same roster in 2025. Citizens Bank Park, you see out there is another outfield of Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas, and Nick Castellanos. Fans aren't going to be happy with that. They're just not. Seeing Alec Bohm at third base, Trey Turner and his quote-unquote defense, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Bryson Stott's probably one of the only guys I'm not willing to give up on because I still see potential in his bat, and his glove is absolutely dynamite over there at second base. So there's things there. Kyle Schwarber, he's going to be a free agent after this upcoming season, so it'll be the last year. Does it just go as change the identity of the lineup by switching a few guys in there? Do you take Kyle Schwarber out of the leadoff spot? Do you lead off Bryce Harper? Because that could be an identity shift. Because Bryce Harper has a completely different approach than a Kyle Schwarber. Does that just change your lineup? Or do you physically have to go out there and change the bodies of your lineup? And I think that's what the Phillies need to do. They need to change some bodies because Brandon Marsh just ain't going to cut it in left field as an everyday player. Same thing with Johan Rojas. Now, if you went out there and got a Kyle Tucker and you ran a center field of Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas, I'd still be perfectly fine with that because you got Kyle Tucker in the outfield. So that wouldn't bother me whatsoever. Yeah, third base would be a hole, but you can always find a way to fill in that void of third base because you got fucking Kyle Tucker. And then you just need to find a way to extend him. Yeah, there's all the talks about him possibly not signing with the team that he gets traded to. He'll wait for the offseason. He is going to test free agency, but that can always change at the end of the day if he enjoys where he's traded to. Always could be that case. It definitely could. I just don't see signs right now of them improving. I just see them sitting on their hands, running it back in 2025 as the New York Mets go out there and spend all of this money. And they're going to be a pain in our fucking asses for 15 years. Because I have one friend that is a New York Mets fan for some reason. No idea why he's a New York Mets fan. He grew up in Philadelphia. He's an Eagles fan. He's a Sixers fan. But he's a fucking Mets fan and a New York Rangers fan. It doesn't fucking make sense. And he's gushing over the wall that they signed Juan Soto. While I'm here questioning my goddamn team if they even want to try and find improvements for 2025. Now they can willingly make improvements after I'm done this pod in the next few weeks, in the month of January, and I'll apologize. But it depends on what those improvements are. If they add more to the bullpen, which Jordan Romano cannot be your only bullpen move, and it does show signs that Jeff Hoffman might not be coming back, nor Carlos Estevez. Tanner Scott is still out there. I would love to sign Tanner Scott to a contract. What other moves are you going to make? You got to fix the lineup. You got to fix the lineup. You can't just run the same lineup back because it's fundamentally flawed. The approach is flawed. You should have fired Kevin Long. Until I see something, this is my mood. This is my motto. This is my attitude towards this team. And until they show signs of wanting to make change, and I do think they realize they have to make change. I do understand that. But you can only say that you're involved in so many rumors for so long until you eventually close on something. You got to eventually close on a deal. You just do. Because rumors only go so long. And I really can't trust a lot of these other Phillies insiders. Really, the only Phillies insider that really gives juice when something is actually happening is Jim Salisbury. And he was the first one to talk about Jordan Romano, that there's something there with Jordan Romano. And then what happened a few minutes later? Phillies signed Jordan Romano. Salisbury is really the only guy that you should look at when it comes to Phillies rumors. And that's basically it. You don't listen to John Hyman. You don't listen to these national guys. Besides maybe Jeff Passan. That's really it. And yeah, the Phillies do keep things to the minimal on the rumor aspect. You really don't hear much on the outside from them. They keep a lot of things in tight. So they definitely could be keeping fan expectations lower until they actually go out there and make a move. I don't know, though. I don't know. It's just not the vibe I'm getting. It just isn't. So we'll see what happens. I just had to get my frustrations out there. So is what it is until something happens. But I do want to hear your thoughts on everything here. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also don't forget to use the code TTPSPORTS. $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. It is a great deal. Do not pass it up. Thanks guys for tuning in. Phillies pissed me off. I'll see you next time.